play such deep variety of heroes that they're kind of unpredictable. They don't have a specific banner draft strategy, so it's very interesting to see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, it's actually very similar to what Rogue was doing last season, where it was almost every game was a drastically different draft. So, you have to wonder, is it just because they're confident in having deep hero pools, or if they're just not confident in their drafts that they kind of just go all over the place and are trying to find something that works still. And whichever end of the spectrum that it's on, we hope that they can definitely bring it together here down the stretch and try and keep themselves in the Unified Live Championship spot.
For sure. Well, we are going to have a Catherine as the first pick of this draft. It's something that's been banned a lot. It doesn't get through the draft very often these days, but Tempo Storm are going to first pick that, which means suddenly Batiste is surely a heavy priority for these teams.
Yeah, we'll probably go ahead and try and get the Batiste pick for themselves on the side of Gankstars, as they're either ban it away or pick it, because with the Catherine already taken by Tempo Storm, you just simply cannot let that combo go over. So with the Idris ban, obviously, again, Catherine being a good counter to the Idris and already having the Baron, Idris can work really well against Baron. Koshka ban, yeah, there's the Batiste. You cannot let that combo go over, so not really any surprises there.
Yeah, the Batiste definitely had to be picked here because of that Batiste-Cath combo. So now Tempo Storm, are they going to go with the Vox here? Or they can go with maybe Jewel as they played before, or even maybe Kestro is what they like. But that's not good into a Batiste Baron, so are they going to go with potentially Blackfeather there because he's a little more slippery? I'd actually pick the Kestro and stick to kind of what they've been comfortable with.
Yeah, they've of late been playing the Kestrel in the lane. I would love to see this come out into the jungle for Hyde, who is their jungler. He's not a carry, as it shows there, but I am such a big fan of Hyde's Crystal Kestrel in the jungle. When they came up through Challengers, he was absolutely dominant on it, probably like a 90+% hit rate on the one-shot, one-kills. But with the Glaive, it's either going, it can be a jungle glaive, but it can also be flexed into the lane. And so I like that flexibility so that they can wait and see what this final captain is, see if it's going to be the captain or a jungle pick for the side of Gankstars to make that decision.
It definitely feels more likely that the Glaive goes in the lane here, just because you kind of want something CP and something weapon power, right? And the CP Kestrel historically goes towards the jungle as opposed to the lane. Obviously, there's definitely room to change that up, and there's room for double weapon power, but the Arden is going to be the final pick for the side of Gankstars, which means Batiste will be going on into that jungle. So what do we make of these compositions then? How do you feel this one's panned out so far, Bacon?
It's going to be interesting, because with the Baron Batiste, obviously it's a lot of damage, a lot of massive burst damage that can come out, especially when the Batiste gets empowered. And so it's going to be very, very crucial for the side of Tempo Storm to get in when they're not about to be empowered. Like, you have to be very much wary of where the Batiste stacks are and try and engage when he resets. Like, right as he's about to reset from having that perk, that's when you need to go in, and it's a very difficult timing to manage and maintain throughout a fight.
Yeah, so it's like that almost waltz of back and forth between when he's empowered or not. How are you feeling this one's going to plan out, Sweetie?
Yeah, I like the draft. Batiste is anti-dive, so Glaive and Cath want to go in. Arden, it's really good at kiting, so as long as they protect Iraqi on Baron and get him to the late game, I think this should be good. And MacDaddy needs to block Silences, so that's going to be a test here for him for sure.
All right, so big test game for the new Gankstars lineup. We'll see whether MacDaddy can live up to his predecessors, but it's time to jump on into this one. Let us know on social who you fancy for this one. Hashtag Vainglor8 as Gankstars versus Tempo Storm is about to get online. Get online on Twitter as well at the same time, but it's time to jump on into the map.
Get online. We're online. Munchables. When Munchable says, do you fancy this team? It means, do you like this team, Fuji? I'm here as an interpreter, a Vainglory / British American English interpreter here for everybody. Tempo Storm versus Gankstars. This is going to be a pretty good matchup.
I agree. I'm also feeling a bit fancy myself right now, Humanist. So
you're always fancy, to be honest.
It's just going to be a fancy game. I mean, we have a Batiste. He's got his fancy top hat. So I think we're good. Kestrel has her fancy hat. So we're working with a solid lineup here from both sides. But I'm hyped, Humanist. This is going to be a great game. These teams actually met during the live championships. Gankstars got the better of Tempo Storm on day one. So we'll see if Tempo Storm can return a little revenge here on this Saturday.
Yeah, let's see what they can do. I mean, I think Bacon mentioned it up on the analyst desk. You know, he was like, Tempo Storm is one of these teams that we think has huge breakout potential. They sometimes struggle to string a whole bunch of series in a row together, but they seem to have that potential.
I mean, it's good potential to have. Watch out, Baron. Getting a little stunned up there, but of course he does have the jump jets as per normal. Level 1 starts on the Baron. You get the double shot, but you also get the getaway free ticket there. So good work there from Iraqi Zora. But we'll have to see with Mac Daddy B on the team. Bane's recently parting ways. It is a new captain for Gankstars. How much synergy, how much practice has this team had a chance to put together before today? We'll find out pretty soon.
Xenotech with some fancy plays, but he's getting lit up, and in fact, he's going to go down. It's a first blood for Tempo, I do believe, and flipped back around as they're able to take Xenotech out. Iraqi, a lot of damage. Gaspy, you don't want to move up underneath that turret.
Ooh.
Nah, but that's not the play, and that's going to be Iraqi Zero just getting out there. Pretty sketchy situation, though.
Yeah, no Twisted Stroke quite available while still in range, but Hyde going down. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to steal away this front preempt here, which you definitely want to try to take as much farm away as you can. It's all about quick scaling and quick access to those tier 3 damage items from CP Kestrel, but Hyde, you better watch out. Elder Treant, Xenotech, a little juggling down here. Humanist. Hyde's gonna give it up though.
It's a little, I mean, some fancy juggling, I would say. Xenotech, he's holding his bad mojo. Lost Boy top, trying to troll him out there. Xenotech is able to take the Elder Treant and now pokes at Lost Boy, forcing him out as he was empowered up there. A nice job by Xenotech to help secure, the jungle early on. He started that first fight off. He's kind of applying a little bit of pressure there. And I think, yeah, Xenotech is our player to watch for this series, and I think for pretty good reason.
Yeah, I mean, I would absolutely agree. We a lot of questions surround the Gankstars team right now, generally having a strong start in the beginning of a season, but somewhat petering off as the season goes on. So we're looking at Xenotech. We're wondering, is he going to be able to be the carry that they need? But we're also looking a lot at Mac and saying, can he show up here this weekend? It's kind of his debut. Not his first time on Gankstars, but these guys are looking for blood.
He's playing like it's
they're gonna
no, I'm just kidding. He's not playing like it's the first time. Mac Daddy doing a good job. Xenotech trying to get into position. He wants to throw those bad mojos. It's Elder Treant party time. Gaspy with the afterburn. Gaspy. It's not the angle that he wanted there. Mac Daddy B throws the Vanguard. Potentially is going to regret that as they're not going to have it here in a second. Xenotech throws the Ordained, but they just stand their ground. Bad mojos coming out. Lost Boy dropping low. The whole time, Iraqi Zoro just continues to farm up in the lane. Xenotech eats a whole bunch of Glimmer shots coming out here. And this is another thing we said. Our analyst desk talks about everything, so we just have to talk about it a second time. Analyst desk said, Hyde, Kestrel is pretty OP, right?
Pretty
OP.
Pretty OP.
So, I mean, this is one of these matchups where we would expect that the majority of Glimmer shots will be connecting onto their target, and I think actually that could be a little bit dangerous for Xenotech as this game goes on.
Yeah, I mean, as Batiste, you don't really want to build a lot of defense, right? Iraqi Zoro by himself in a little bit of a 1v3 down here in the jungle, but Tempo should be able to take this.
Well, yeah, that's actually gonna go over to Gaspy, so they do secure it. That's great for them as a unit. I think it would have been great if Hyde could have picked that up, but definitely still a win for Tempo Storm. Tempo doing a pretty good job setting the tempo, we could say, at this point. Small net worth advantage. 3-man bad mojo connects from Xenotech. And Saraki making his way out. Level 4. He's working his way towards Sorrow Blade, probably. And of course, Piercing Spear up there. I mean, I feel like both of these teams do have all of the tools they need to win this game. It doesn't feel like either team won the draft hugely. But do you disagree?
I definitely think the draft that Gankstars has is perhaps a little bit more consistent with just building this Baron towards the end game, making sure he can just pop whoever. I mean, if he gets one round of auto attacks off on Kestrel, then he's going to most likely kill her mid to late game. So it's going to be a lot more about making sure that Hyde positions himself to get off a lot of free damage without anything major in return. So it's going to come down to mechanics. I would say that the composition from Gankstars is a bit easier to pull off, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to do so. At least Tempo Storm does not want them to do so. But eyes on Hyde here, making sure he can land these Glimmer shots on the right targets.
Lost Boy Ordained throws out his Storm Guard, stands his ground. Oh my god, that was a tongue twister.
I like
Hyde,
Storm Ground. It's nice.
Storm Ground. I think it's very important that Hyde's connecting on these Glimmer shots and also his one shots. Like the one that just missed up in the lane. I don't think it was dodged out by anybody. He just didn't throw it on target. If that does land, it makes it so much easier for Gaspy in the lane because you have to like seriously respect the fact that Gaspy could just go ahead and afterburn you back if Lost Boy's there to follow up with a stun.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. In fact, I would like to see a little bit more synergy coming out. A Merciless Pursuit stun with the one-shot, one kill, and an afterburn on top of it could be all they need to take out the Batiste or the Baron, whoever they get a hold of first. At least before Baron turns level 8, will have a pretty hard time getting away. The sustain is also purely coming from the Iron Guard contract, Fountain active. Of course, we do have Vanguard, but once that's down, there's no healing up those Glimmer shots for this Baron. So they do have to be careful about how much free damage they take. One shot does connect.
Very nice connect. That's Vanguard out here. That's going to be a cooldown 10 seconds. Let's see what's going to happen. The mortars continue to come out. Iraqi knows he just has to farm, get himself to that 3-item power spike if possible. Glimmer shots coming out from Hyde. A nice angle. He's able to splash a little bit of damage. Lost Boy just frontlining for his team, doing a good job. Ion Cannon connects onto 2. Mac Daddy B thinking about trying to make a play happen there, but almost actually going down before... I mean, he would have died. Like one more Glimmer shot, he would have died without even having a chance to use Fountain.
Yeah, if the splash would have hit him there, that would have been game over, at least for now, for Mac Daddy. But they do still have the Fountain.
Afterburn, Iraqi getting wrecked. They just blew him up. Really nice clean engage out of Tempo Storm as they just pull the trigger.
I like it. I like the decision making. I like the lack of hesitation, if you will, just the proactive behavior coming out of Tempo Storm here, recognizing the fact that Fountain will not save Baron if he's that low.
Nothing can save, and Xenotech cannot be saved. Tempo Storm. No mercy. How about you drop the aggro off the turret? Nah, they're just gonna hang around here. Mac Daddy B, you wanna kill us? We'll just eat some Glimmer shots. Oh, one shot, one kill. Hyde, what? Our Lord and Savior. This is what I mean. This is why they say he's a pretty good Kestrel. No, that was nice there.
One shot, one kill, landing and killing the Arden there. Rakuzor looking for a little bit here. They do have a scout trap down here.
Danger zone. Danger zone. He stands his ground. Glimmer shots coming through. They're able to get out of Hyde, making the plays. He knew that he could splash through. He had to kill off, I think, one of those jungle monsters, but he splashes through with the last Glimmer shot, getting that. A flare's gonna come out, so Crystal Sentry should be locked onto Hyde, and he'll go down here at the end. But 2 back-to-back beautiful plays coming out of this Kestrel, and they are going to need it if they're gonna have a chance at this series.
I mean, a little bit of a question has to come to Iraqi there. I'm pretty sure Hyde went into his active camo before the scout was completely cleared. So Iraqi had to have known at least that an active camo was somewhere around the jungle right there. So a bit risky walking down to try to pick it up. I like the fact that Hyde did switch to an auto attack to proc the trap, those front double minions blocking his... Glimmer shots there, but nice reaction out of Hyde to pick up a kill, which could have been an easy one going over to Iraqi. Mac Daddy gonna eat the one shot though there, Human. He's gonna have to do that quite a lot this game as Xenotech and Iraqi not really having any crystal defense right now. They're gonna take a massive chunk, at least a half of their health bar from some of these one shots.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if Xenotech gets hit with one of those, if he's in range to follow up with any damage, if there's an afterburn ready to go, they could burst these guys down. So I think a very good point you mentioned there. And Mac Daddy B, we'll see. Keep our eyes on his positioning here. Can he stay on the front side for his team, soak up his damage? But at the same time, if Hyde's in range for Glimmer shots, that splashes through right onto your allies there. Gauntlet's gonna come down. This is Kestrel on the backside. There you go, Xenotech with the fearsome shade coming through. They're able to take out Gaspy. Gaspy can't lift it down. And that was interesting. Lost Boy, was his Crucible like on cooldown or something? One shot, one kill. Hyde coming through once again. Has his team on his back right now.
That was a great angle. Xenotech just not expecting it, probably thinking that perhaps it had already been used, or at least that Hyde might have gone home not having the energy or the angle to fire that off, but gets the exact angle that he wants, takes down the Xenotech. Hyde feeling really good here, Humanist. 4-1-1. This is exactly what you want. as an early game CP Kestrel main, as some might have said in the past. Hyde really showing up here today on one of the picks he is most notorious for.
Yeah, and you know, if you're well known for a pick, nothing hurts worse than getting it and then not doing so well. Hyde not having that experience today, as he's having a great early game thus far, doing very good work for his team. Gankstars, they need to pull it together. You mentioned, analysts talked about it before, Mac Daddy B. You know, what's the synergy going to be like with this team? He's been practicing, but can they make it all work here together? Maybe they just need a few minutes early on in this game to kind of get that synergy going. And also, fair to mention again, Iraqi. Oh, the one shot almost connecting. He is still building into that third item right now. He's not online.
No, he is not. I mean, there's still quite a bit of time left to go before Baron gets his 4 offensive items, but Iraqi is opting for a complete offensive tree, so a couple of glimmers. And this Baron is going to go down, so he has to have the perfect positioning here behind Mac Daddy B. And here we go.
Ooh, blocked off the blast. Remember, they're going to knock Mac Daddy B back. Gaspy's on the front side. This is big damage coming through from Iraqi Zoro, but it's not hitting onto the Kestrel. Oh no, the gauntlet! That's not the one you wanted. I'm sure Mac Daddy B wishes he could have that one back. One shot hits Xenotech, burning, melting him down low. And you see Hyde also watch the active camos where he drops them just in these choke points. So like, if you're gonna chase, you better have a block.
Yeah, I mean, even if you have a block, honestly, at the point at which these team fights are ending up at, you're still going to die, even through all the damage. But we do see a contest coming for the gold mine here. Gangstar still wants it. This is risky.
This is a bold move. They find the stun. Mac Daddy B's low. They don't have a fountain. They're going to take Iraqi Zoro. Mac Daddy B sells Vanguards. He should be going down here shortly. Fearsome Shade buying a little bit of time. Xenotech, he's going to stand his ground. He gets one. They're able to get 2 with the help of the Crystal Sentry. What a crazy little fight. No, they only get 1. I was tripping out. I lost Hyde off my screen. If I can't see somebody, I assume they're dead, Fuji. That's how I play the game. Hyde, he's low on energy. Lost boy. He can't do enough here, and Hyde's going to have some fancy footwork per se. One shot.
Oh, into it. Humanist.
Talk to me about it.
My heart. That's the second time that we've seen Xenotech go down to the 1-shot, 1 kill. Poor Xenotech. This Batiste, just not enough defense, enough to kill him, enough to take him down. Hyde with the fancy footwork here in the enemy side of the jungle, doing a really good job of staying alive around this bottom edge for quite some time. But I have to say, Gankstars, why continue to attack the gold miner? At this point, you've taken too much damage. You're on the back foot. You're not like healthy enough to really contest, but they just continue doing so, and you know they definitely suffer for it. I mean, it could have been worse. We actually saw Lost Boy get rooted by the middle treant and then have to use his Crucible to get out of the Ordained, but still goes down. So a scrappy game, Humanist, lots of kills going back and forth. This is the kind of Vainglory we like to see, though. Like, you can have nice, clean Vainglory, or you can have some scrappy Vainglory, and I like a little bit of both.
I definitely agree with you. And Mac Daddy B agrees as well. Throws the gauntlet. This being a gold mine going to Tempo Storm. And this is Iraqi Zoro just getting lit up. He's down before the fight even starts. Mac Daddy B should be going down. Fountains just at the end. I mean, I think what did he throw out his Crucible as well? He just got melted down.
Yeah, I mean, just not enough to survive that. Iraqi Zoro's positioning.
Oh, he almost found Xenotech.
Oh, he got out this time, though. Was not subject to being killed by anyone from Tempo, but this is really just Tempo taking complete control of this game. I mean, they still have their first turret up, Humanist. They were able to secure that gold mine before the team fight broke out. They actually pick up 2 kills in favor, now extending that gold lead even further from where it has been. So now this is all about Tempo picking up their own personal tempo as they look to push the vision forward. They want to get in, they want to kill some Crystal Sentries, they want to put pressure on the second turret, and they can do so fairly safely. Like with this Catherine and these Kestrel active camos, they have a really nice kiting path going backwards to keep this Baron from actually picking up any kills.
Yeah, I think the damage coming out of the Kestrel is so effective that Gaspy's not really forced into those positions that are really desperate. We see some Glaives find themselves in. Right now, a dangerous situation. Hyde, maybe if we have a moment, the fight might break out here. Another one-shot connects onto Mac Daddy B, but if we have a moment, we'll have to talk about this build onto Hyde. Gauntlet down. Oh, big glitter shots coming out. They block off that blast trimmer. And Lost Boy Toff, Gaspy living just on a sliver of health. Gaspy's going to go down. So is that an Echo blast trimmer? Yes, it was. Lost Boy. It hit Xenotech on just the edge there, but they're not ready to follow up. Hyde, there he moves forward. The glitter shot, 1 hits, but 2 and 3 do not. Oh, Lost Boy, you have overstepped yourself. Xenotech Empowered takes him down. Man, you have to respect that bad mojo.
You really do. The empowerment, just honestly, Xeno's reflex block there being so critically important. Blocking that Merciless Pursuit stun allows him to stay alive, also allows him to pick up the kill, and he's going to get the treant as well. So feeling strong, feeling confident, Xeno really stepping up in this mid-game after having a pretty tough start.
Yo, Hyde's about to get wrecked. I'm assuming Fearsome Shade's gonna hit him. That Ordained locked him down to start. Oh no, he really gets out of that one. Unbelievable. The flare's gonna come out. Mac, know what's going on. Mac Daddy B moves forward. Mac Daddy B gets the plays out. Xenotech, dude, you're not gonna do it. I gotta do it myself. Mac Daddy B stepping up, making the plays.
Mac Daddy says, step aside, Xenotech, put me in the spotlight. Let me show you how to run in, use the boot active, pick up the kill, and now they're looking for this Kraken. So they should be able to secure this. They have a lot of abilities to lock it down. Gauntlet is available if they need it as well.
No waves out here onto Mac Daddy B. Araki. He gets the Vanguard. Big blaster comes through, but that's not the fight you were looking for. Tempo Storm. Oh no. An absolute disaster as Gankstars turn that one around on them. They're going to get the Kraken, Fuji. They're going to lose. Oh my gosh. They take the kills. They take the Kraken. They're going to take turrets now. And we'll see. This is going to come down to what can Hyde do here.
This is an absolute disaster for Tempo Storm. Like another clean early game for the most part that gives them a lot of great position. They haven't lost first objective, but then some poor team fight calls getting caught out overstaying.
Oh, look at Did you see the combo that they just tried to throw right there? Xenotech with a fearsome shade from the backside. Araki just jump jetting forward. If that connected, oh man, that was highlight plays for sure. Xenotech, you got to be careful. Afterburn blocked off. Xenotech, he should hit with the one shot and goes down one more time. The silence connects onto Araki Zoro. Araki Zoro gonna try and get back, but a double kill for Hyde. Hyde going through. He said he needed to make the plays, and he comes through clutch.
He does come through clutch. I love the fact that Xeno was able to block the initial engage, but you only get one reflex active until the cooldown comes back, which means the other the team was just able to continue diving him. One shot, one kill once again takes him down. This is the third time in a single game where Xenotech has died to one shot, one kill. It's impressive work, impressive aiming for Hyde, but I have to think if Araki Zoro was just going to stick around, he should have went for the turret. He should have just, if he was going to sacrifice his life, go for the objective, kill the turret quickly. That way at least Kraken moves on and gets some significant damage into that choke point turret. So perhaps a little bit of a misplay there. If you weren't going to leave, definitely go for something more than just damage on those enemy heroes. But once again, we are moving into the 18.5-minute mark of this game. Humanist, we still have a gold lead for Tempo Storm and kill lead as well. These guys are feeling pretty confident in their position to win this game. That echo on Catherine is what I'm going to be watching pretty closely as we get into the late game. Can Catherine actually make the most effective use of it? Can we see double blast trimmers? I think we can.
I mean, I think we definitely can as well. Lost Boy, he's had a great game thus far. I mean, 48 stacks on his passive right here as a rogue perk. That's really great. The cap and the guard, giving him a lot of durability. Plus the no wave gauntlet with that echo. Let's see if he can lock one of these guys down. Xenotech, oh my goodness, just getting lit up by these one shots. Can they kite backwards? The first blast trimmer blocked off, gauntlet down, and this is just a perfect chance for Tempo Storm to just recollect himself and think about how they want to approach the situation. They're going to boot forward. They find Araki, who's trying to teleport out. Big glimmer shots coming through. He gets the jump jets to reposition. You can see the null wave. It's going to be ticking down on Mac Daddy B there. Tempo Storm able to get the Crystal Sentry and get themselves out. Super clean engage.
I was kind of hoping Hyde would use one shot right when it came off cooldown just to see if he could get the pick on Baron there, but it's okay. I'll let Hyde slide on that one, but that's really great engage. I mean, we actually see the fact that, you know, Gankstars knows this echo is on Lost Boy. When the first blast trimmer comes out, they can block it with Crucible, but they don't have another one. So it is risky for them to re-engage, and I like the confidence coming out of Lost Boy, just booting into the back of the jungle looking for those stuns.
Lost Boy getting lit up pretty good right now. But of course, he can always just, activate that Storm Guard and kind of bait out one of these fights and turn it around pretty hard. Echo, I think they're basically just waiting off this Echo cooldown at this point. Maybe Null Wave as well.
I mean, there's a lot of actives on Lost Boy, so he's definitely having to juggle quite a few things other than just his own abilities. So impressive work coming out of him here. Echo does finally come up. They do have the Blast Trimmer ready to go as well, Humanist. So everything ready to rock and roll. Perhaps some infusion timing repurchases coming out of tempo here before they look to engage again. We just saw Lost Boy pick his up. Hyde probably going down to grab his as well. Infusions across the board, but the timings, got to pay attention to this. Pretty important. Xeno does not have enough gold to re-infuse if an extended team fight breaks out. He will not have the power spike that he hopes for. So Tempo actually in the better position as they set up around this Kraken pit.
One shot, smacks Xenotech in the face, still does 50% of his health, even with the light shield that he picked up. Dude, we could talk about it later, but it's like if you're going to pick up some shield, maybe pick it up a little earlier. At this point, a couple Glimmer shots coming through. They block off the Blast Trimmer. The Afterburn comes through. They almost take Xenotech down. Mac Daddy B gets the gauntlet off. Arakizora looking for the damage. He finds the damage. Gatsby's down. They need to kite backwards. Hyde, you're so squishy. 537 damage for Arakizora. Let's see if he's going to grab jump jets and go forward. Yes, he will. The Storm Guard's going to reflect most of that back, but Gankstars are definitely in pole position right now, winning that fight. This is going to be their Kraken. Let's see what they can get off of it.
I mean, we have to really think about how we engage here at Tempo Storm. You can't get damage to the backline if the sentry is also there. Team fight should not be taken around that part of the map. The last time we saw them fight there, what happened was they actually used the first Blast Trimmer to really push Gankstars back. They got a lot of damage down, then they reset. They looked for an opportunity to re-engage at the right time, but this time they just kept going, and it cost them big. Kestrel just not able to get any significant damage onto the target she wants to. And at this point of the game, we're at a max level Baron. His range is insane. If he gets one lock on to Kestrel, that could be game over.
Well, it definitely can. I think, obviously Tempo Storm making a little mistake. Let's see if they can clean things up here. Hyde just barely missing there, threading the needle, not in the way he would have liked. As Kraken's going to take down the choke point turret and then move forward. Hyde stealth up on the top side. Xenotech moving forward. He can get lit up. Let's look for the active camel. Light him up. Light him up. There you go, dude. Glimmer shots galore coming through. The splash on the last one connects onto Xenotech, dude. Woo! That was pretty.
I have to question a little bit. So either there was a communication problem with Xeno not thinking he was gonna die, or Mac also just not thinking he was gonna die. Like, no Crucible used, no Fountain used to keep him alive. I think Mac thought he might be able to help body block some.
They all body block this CB Kestrel for you.
But it's a splashy arrow indeed. It doesn't even have to be the Summer Party skin. It still splashes. You gotta watch out for that. So they do defend. It is a little bit dicey, as AJ might say, when you are defending with a composition like Glaive and CP Kestrel. Not the best Kraken damage coming out of this team composition with the push potential. So had Gankstars played a little cleaner there on that engage, I think they could have gotten a lot more with that Kraken push. But, getting taken out, not ideal. We also see a couple of different things maxed Ordained coming out of Xenotech here instead of reducing that cooldown, getting a few more fearsome shades out. But he does have a lot of damage. Shatterglass, Clockwork, Broken Myth, ready to really blow someone up. Not seeing perhaps the best juggling of his empowerments as we saw a little earlier today from Von C. So I'd like to see Xeno prep himself a little bit better in this next team fight.
Prep yourself. One shot comes through, not going to connect. You were mentioning Xenotech's items, and yeah, he's got a lot of damage output. Dude, I'm checking out Hyde's items right now, and this is just a thing of beauty. A lot of times we see Clockwork as like your third item. He built it as his fourth item here. He went Double Shatter, Broken Myth, into Clockwork.
A lot of blue. Perhaps Hyde's listening to some jazzy tunes in the background while he plays today. But he's got the full crystal build, just saying, like, he can't get caught, like he can make zero mistakes, and this is the way Hyde has personally stated he likes to play. No defense if he doesn't need it, all damage, but of course he does have to land some of these Glimmer shots to make it happen. Be nice to see Gatsby and Hyde really line up something here, getting a one shot into an afterburn onto the right target, can be an instant deletion. But we do see no armor really coming out here at all. So if Glaive is able to stick to a target, Gaspy can do some serious work on the backline.
I think, maybe Hyde just kind of throwing the last few one-shots where he thinks Gankstars are, and really good prediction in the angles that he's throwing. I think Gankstars, you got to give him credit, though. Just spreading on, like, the last two as well, seeing them coming and just kind of making sure they're not connecting.
If I was Hyde, though, I would be pretty nervous about this Baron. I mean, if Iraqi gets a nice jump jet angle, like a lot of times when people are setting up their jump jet, if you are really good at Baron, if you understand your angles and ranges, you can actually jump jet very safely diagonally from your target and get a nice, Xenotech taking the damage.
That seems good.
Gonna push him back.
One shot. It took 60% of his health off. Ion Cannon. It's kind of zoning them out into Fearsome Shade, just used for disengage here. It's gonna be a 30-second cooldown, and we'll see what looks like. Tempo Storm are gonna go ahead and get back, heal up, and Gankstars still holding their position.
I like the use of Fearsome Shade and Ion Cannon there for the zoning, just because simply it allowed them to get a safe position, but I don't think taking Kraken and baiting is what you want to do. Like, you don't really have a composition that does well baiting around an objective. You want to be able to engage. Yeah, I mean, all of it's getting cleared now.
Oh, no, I mean, that's one thing that will tilt me, especially at this point in the game when you move down. I think the left shot brush actually got cleared on accident. The right one was on purpose. The Lost Boy doing his work there. You can see they're taking Kraken super fast. They're capturing this Kraken so quickly. Gankstars, they're moving down. Okay, so you're gonna have to respond to Gankstars positioning in the lane, but Gankstars should be forced back here unless this is just like an absolutely disastrous fight for Tempo Storm.
This was a very, very poor shot call coming from Gangstar, just giving up the Kraken, but perhaps in return, a little bit of a poor shot call from Tempo, just letting the Kraken now take a ton of damage pretty much for free. Perhaps thinking that Gangstars was going to try to push to the turrets, but maybe better safe than sorry, but they definitely want to get more than just one turret with this Kraken. Otherwise, this push is not worth it.
Let's see what they can do. Null Wave blocked off by Mac Daddy B. He's going to block off the Blast Trimmer as well. At least the first one, anyway. One shot comes through, not connecting on a target. It's nice for Gankstars, not what Hyde was looking for. With that, Tempo Storm, take that as a sign that they should just move down, probably clear out the jungle here.
I don't love the idea of taking the Kraken, going back to base, being a little bit off kilter with how they wanted to execute on that push. They only get one turret for it. So
do they just lose the turret to the lane minions?
They did, yeah. Lane minions just take down one of the base turrets as well. So they didn't even push the wave. They were trying to get to the Kraken so fast after realizing Gankstars backed off. They didn't even clear the wave out all the way. So the heavy push coming from Gankstars knocks down another the first crystal turret. So pretty good for GS here. One shot does hit Iraqi Zoro. These guys fill in 50% of their HP every time this connects minimum, even with the Aegis online. But this full glass cannon build coming out of Hyde really doing work, and his one-shot accuracy pretty good this game.
I'd like to see a percentage on that. He's connected with the majority of them. Let's be real though, Fuji, this is not like full glass cannon. He does have his boots here.
Oh, that's
a little bit greedy of him.
That's true. It's hard to walk around in the fold without something on your feet, man. A lot of pebbles and rocks out here.
It's true that the churn can get you there. This is going to be a gauntlet coming down, kind of splitting Tempo, but Gaspy right into the middle. Fearsome Shade jump jets forward. Iraqi looking to find the damage out onto Gaspy. He's able to get one Gankstars.
One shot.
Taking the advantage of this fight. Xenotech, he's low, but they find the damage. Oh, they almost take out Hyde, man. That double attacks coming out of the jump jets, dropping him so low. And they're all in danger of being taken down by this Kestrel, but Hyde's so low, has to play super careful. Dude, I'm ready. I'm ready for the godlike plays. Mind, body, and soul. I'm ready for it, Hyde. Fuji, are you ready for it?
I'm ready for it, Hyde. Let's go.
One shot. It's not going to come through. He's got to move forward. The flare's out. They know where he is. Xenotech. He's going to look to get some bad mojos out. A couple glimmer shots coming through. He's going to wait for those to cool down. Mac Daddy B taking turret aggro. Iraqi. He's there. 527 damage. They're on to the Vein Crystal. Come on, Hyde. Get him. Get him, Hyde. Can he do it? Mac Daddy B absorbing the majority of the damage, making the plays he needed. And alas, it's not going to be what our hearts did desire in that moment, to see the godly defense. Of course, it's always great to see Gankstars take a victory 30 minutes in. A pretty late game here.
Of all the times you needed to hit one shot, one kill at the base, if he would have hit the first one, they would have held. Such a close game.
Such a close game. A great game indeed. I don't even know how many Captain of the Guard stacks Lost Boy had at the end. I don't know, maybe our analysts have that info for us. I'm sure they'll be ready to break this one down. Sweet J, Tasty Bacon, Munchables, man, what was going on?
A 30-minute absolute slog between these two teams, and definitely not clean from either side. It was a victory for Gankstars, but again, these games today just going absolutely all the way, and we saw that last moment where Hyde potentially could have won V3 just to save the game further. We've seen that happen against Gankstars literally last week from Hammers, so it must have been a heart-pounding moment for them, but they do manage to get the win. That's the important thing for Gankstars. They move forward in this series.
Yeah, and MacDaddy, I was very impressed with his play this game. The fights that Gankstars won were almost purely because of the gauntlet positioning from MacDaddy, able to lock in the members of Tempo Storm and prevent them from getting out. But Hyde on this Kestrel, even though they didn't get the win, and it was so impressive though. He had the highest KDA of any member of this game in the loss, and that's pretty impressive.
And I mean, basically every one-shot, one-kill this game hit Xenotech. It felt like
until the
end. Was pretty much like cyberbullying the guy through the medium of Kestrel. Like it's so difficult to play into that because it's such a short cooldown, such high damage.
Yeah, it was a one fight at the 21:30 mark. MacDaddy had a beautiful Vanguard and a Gauntlet, and then he saved Xenotech and Iraqi, and he turned the fight around because of the Gauntlet. He blocked the silence, so that was a beautiful play by MacDaddy. Really proud of how he played today, and the teamwork coming from Iraqi and Xeno as well. The fearsome shade into the Gauntlet, into the Ordain, and Iraqi's positioning was a little rough early game, but in the mid to late game, he definitely played a lot better and didn't get hit by a lot of those arrows. I was really worried because they didn't itemize any shield until late in the game, which is crazy.
Yeah, but once he did manage to get that Aegis, suddenly things started to turn around just a little bit. We have a few highlights of specifically Hyde on this Kestrel because he had so many great shots this game. We've got a little bit of a highlight reel from him.
Yeah, and you can see 10-3 and 5. When you see a 10-3-5 scoreline, you expect that that's someone that just won the game because it's so incredible, that stat line, and you can see some of these shots coming out are just absolutely beautiful. This one probably shouldn't have actually hit. Like, Xenotech probably should have been able to get out of the way of that one. But, you know, sometimes you just panic a little bit and walk right along it. But so many of these kills were just secured by a one-shot coming through. And Hyde, this is why he is known as a Crystal Kestrel main. Like, in London, he was very happy to tell people that he was a Kestrel one-trick. And so many times we see Kestrel banned away from Tempo Storm. This right here was why.
That was the question I was about to start to look towards. As we get on into the second draft, do you have to just remove the Kestrel away from this guy? He seems terrifying. Let's talk about these team fights first. I mean, as you say, the Gauntlet, just incredible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the Kestrel, as long as they were able to lock down the Kestrel and trap her, because she didn't have a reflex block at all, so if they get a Ordained Gauntlet, and they also have a fearsome shade, as long as they combo that, they will play really well. But you can see that when Kestrel was hitting and landing her abilities, it just decimated the team. I mean, Hyde was glass cannon, so they had to focus down Kestrel or kite Glaive if Glaive overextended too much, which happened quite a few times here in a lot of these fights. But this is the crazy fight here that turns it around. Look at Xeno. Xeno's almost dead. He blocks the signs, he fountains, the fear comes out, Kestrel gets stunned into the Gauntlet
twice
because of the fear. It was amazing plays there. That fight literally turned the whole game around.
And then this one, right at the end, you can see Hyde. He wants to get out of the Gauntlet. He's not doing anything during that time, but he has to wait until the Crucible comes through. He had to wait until Lost Boy got in range to give him that Crucible so that he could leave the Gauntlet. And during that time, he wasn't able to throw out any Glimmer shots. He wasn't able to do any damage. And then at the end of the game, excellent positioning from MacDaddy B to block a lot of these shots and prevent the damage from going onto Iraqi and Xenotech.
I do just want to call out that you mentioned the Crucible that gets him out of the Gauntlet. It also simultaneously blocked the Fit, so it was a great Crucible. Just a little bit too late. Too late on that one. Lyra going to be the first ban here, coming out from Gankstars. Obviously, not wanting to first ban the Kestrel. I can't say I'm too surprised that it's not going to be priority for first ban though.
Yeah, let's see where Tempo Storm decides to go with this ban. They're putting a good amount of thought into it, obviously, because if you ban away the Grace, you're going to be giving that Baron over again. But if you ban away the Baron, you're giving Grace over, so it kind of puts you into a bit of a catch-22. They're going to go ahead and take the Grace off the board. And so now Gankstars, if they want, they can grab the Baron again, but they're going to go for the Catherine. And so, once again, kind of forcing the issue in these drafts where now Tempo Storm is going to have to either pick or ban that Baptiste.
Yeah, Baptiste, huge priority in these series, especially when Kath gets through the first level of the ban. Baron and Idris going to be taken, one for a pick, one for a ban, and now Gankstars looking towards their first ban.
I mean, I like the Baron Idris combo, something we see all the time, but is Tempo Storm going to be playing this Baptiste is the question. If they do, I would love to actually see it. I kind of feel like I would like to see it on Lost Boy Toph, because it's such a big playmaker captain, and Lost Boy Toph is known as being a big playmaking captain. So
I mean, there's a quote from him in London in one of the interviews saying, look, I want to prove that Captain can hard carry games. So you're definitely accurate there.
Yeah, and now Gankstars, obviously, they want to leave the Baptiste up because they want to have at least the chance of being able to get this combo if Tempo Storm doesn't take it away from them. So Kroll will be the ban. Interesting that they're going to leave the Kestrel open, because now, unless Gankstars takes Kestrel, Tempo Storm could potentially go for a Baron Kestrel Baptiste comp, and that would be extremely risky because it's so squishy, but the damage output from that composition would be absolutely off the wall.
Yeah, one thing though, they have Kath, and CP Kestrel is not the best into Kath. There's a lot of reflect damage. She can absorb a lot of those shots, and normally CP Kestrels don't build a lot of defense or reflex blocks, and so one stun is pretty much a death sentence to the Kestrel, CP Kestrel.
I was about to say, like, that's the double-edged blade of high burst damage when
so
you're going
you just
into
stay far
Kath,
enough
right?
away, and you don't get the damage reflected onto you.
Yeah, very true. But you also have to be able to be close enough to hit the damage. Blackfeather going to be locked on in here. How do you expect Gankstars to finish this one off here, Bacon?
I would expect them to look for something like Vox, or if they're going to put that Blackfeather in the lane, they could go for something like the Kashka, or just something that's going to be aggressive to join with the Blackfeather on diving in. They already have a very heavy dive comp, though, and with the Baptiste on the other side, you kind of don't want to go full in on the dive. They're going to take the Kestrel. I like this pickup because it gives them a ranged option and takes it away from Tempo Storm just in case, because I feel like Hyde's the type of player that would say, you know what, I don't care if you have a Catherine, I'm still going to take this Kestrel and have a great game with it. But they are going to go to Samuel, so this will be Lost Boy Toph on the Captain Baptiste.
Yes, certainly will. And we're going to see Iraqi Zoro onto that weapon power Kestrel once again. We saw he was one of the first players to really start to play that this season towards the very start of Split 1. I know it's quite a while ago now, but he was kind of the guy that I think he played it like 3 games in a row before people had really started to pick it up that much. But how are we feeling about these compositions then? How similar is this going to be to last game? Because obviously the Kestrel has swapped sides now. I feel like that's quite a big deal within this matchup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be up to the junglers this time. CP Kestrel versus Samuel. It's more of a skill matchup. CP Kestrel can poke down the Baron, outranges all of them. But Samuel also, in Drifting Dark, can outrange the Kestrel and get her low. So it depends on how the team's going to play when Samuel versus Kestrel here.
All right, well, we'll see whether they can bring that to fruition. How are you feeling about this one, Bacon?
Yeah, gameplay-wise, it should be actually a lot different from the previous game because there's so much more engage on really kind of both sides. You have the, obviously, the Blackfeather, assuming it does go weapon, they're going to be looking to dive in with the Catherine and just shut down Tempo Storm. Whereas Tempo Storm, they're going to know this, and they have to be just as progressive and just as aggressive as Gankstars to make sure that they're not the ones that are getting engaged on.
All right, well, we'll see who's going to be able to take this one as we look towards game number 2. Get involved on Twitter using that hashtag Vainglor8 and let us know who you are going to be supporting. Gankstars lead this series with a bit of a shaky 1-0. We'll see whether they can finish this one out cleanly or whether Tempo Storm are going to push this to 3 games. It's time to pass it on over to our cancers once more.
Twitch viewers, YouTube viewers, and maybe Facebook too. Get excited, guys. This is game 2 between Gankstars and Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm nearly taking game 1. When they're coming down to the edge in the late game, Gankstars able to secure it. And this one could really go either way. I honestly don't know how to predict this one, Fuji.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be quite tough, but I would like to say that I would love it to go to a game 3. I always like the all of it's on the line kind of feel. Both teams go up one game, show they have what it takes to go toe-to-toe. And it all kind of comes down to a deciding game 3. But, you know, I'm sure this is not the story for Gankstars. They want to just take it now to be well and done. This is a tough composition coming out of Tempo Storm. We've seen similar comps built like this from Nova, oftentimes having a Kestrel in place of the Baron, but this kind of triple poke comp with your Batiste captain is tough to deal with.
It can be incredibly tough to deal with. At this point, though, was Hyde level 2, makes his way up into the lane. Just throwing out Malice and Verdict, trying to proc that Corrupted Genius where he can onto Mac Daddy B right there. Malice and Verdict coming through, doing a good job. Also getting those basics off. It just buys early time for Gatsby to farm up here, and this is pretty much exactly what he needs.
Yeah, I mean, this pressure is just going to be unanswerable, really, from Tempo Storm here. It's just no way to really get in there. I mean, Kestrel obviously can have some pretty good rotations up, but once again, this Batiste, he is in the captain role. So the Ordained, the Bad Mojos, the Empowerments, all coming out of him early game. He's not the one you typically want to focus. So a couple of decisions that have to come out of Gankstars here, but we do see a heavy back invade.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused. I don't know actually what's happening right here. This is Mac Daddy B dropping low in first blood, going over to Tempo. They're going to chase Xenotech down as well. They sniff that Kestrel out, and they're like, you know what? We know how to play it better than you. We're going to take you down.
I mean, this rotation is actually not too difficult to pull off simply because the amount of wave clear coming out of Blackfeather and Catherine is so incredibly low compared to the AoE potential wave clear coming from Baron, coming from the Bad Mojo splashes. So it's very easy for Tempo Storm to really push this Blackfeather back to his turret, drop down and contest in the jungle, and Araki Zoro, he has to make a decision. Does he give up his farm and help his team of an uncertain outcome, perhaps? Or does he try to collect enough farm to really make it to those breakpoints he needs later in the game? And he's choosing right now to do the farm path. I actually quite agree with this. It should be up to Xenotech to really find his way in and out of the jungle, but we'll have to see what Gankstars can do with this pressure.
100% Ordained down. Araki taking a lot of damage. He waits it out. He should go down on the backside. In fact, he does. Gatsby's going to be able to take that kill. Gatsby, 2 kills. 3 minutes in here. He's having a great game so far. Drifting Dark is down. Hyde just kind of strafing through that one, throwing the Malice and Verdicts, connecting about half of them onto Mac Daddy B. Mac Daddy B feeling the heat, feeling the pressure here. Xenotech's just going to hang out and try to hold the lane, but I agree with you on your last point. It's up to the CP Kestrel to be elusive through the jungle. Like, getting caught is your fault.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like, this is also just subject to the rotation timings being a bit off, with Xenotech actually not being in lane to stop the initial push, the initial rotation, and that kill on Araki Zoro. He therefore loses his backs. Samuel's able to go down, take the jungle, and escape for the most part. So Hyde getting a little bit of steal, a little experience gain there. But Xenotech is trying to find some things in return. We do see him go and quickly take the Elder Treant right before the shop spawns. So getting a little back into his pocket where he can. But we're at a 2,000 gold lead for Tempo Storm at 4 minutes, Humanist. This is a lot of gold to have in your pocket so early on.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, I would like to be in that position.
Done.
If I'm in this game, for sure.
You take 2,000 gold at 4 minutes, Humanist?
I would. I mean, to be honest, though, I also am kind of a fan of, like, throwing the first 3 deaths away and then coming back to beat your opponent just so they know you're better than them.
You feed gold to the enemy, so when you kill him, you know, you get a little return on that investment. I see.
Yeah, it's an ego thing. Hyde, Drifting Dark. He's going to move forward with the Malice and Verdicts. Araki eating actually a few of those. Man, damage coming out here. Gatsby, with the jump jets forward, they have to respect it. One shot hits Lost Boy. Lost Boy really not taking too much damage from that one shot at this point. I see Xenotech hasn't really completed an item yet, but just building up a bunch of a few crystal bits, battery, heavy prism.
I like Gatsby actually getting some free damage into the turret up there. He's got to watch out, though.
Oh, they jump forward. They find the stun, and Gatsby chopped down. Dude, we talk about how Baron has huge damage output all of the time, but he is so squishy. Araki right back in. Araki with the on point. I mean, honestly, they probably turn around and kill him if he misses that on point.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, part of the Black Feather pro play experience is you have to land your barriers. But Xeno,
Rip.
getting chased down.
You got
here
this
in the
one.
jungle.
Play by play it.
Don't even have to. The play-by-play is wrong place, wrong time. Hyde, thirsty for the kill, hits the boot active, gets the kill in the jungle. And once again, Xeno just being put behind. This is not the start you want as a CP Kestrel. You really, really need to scale quickly, fast. You want to pick up kills. You want to rotate to lane. You want to knock some people down. We're just not seeing that coming out of Gankstars right now.
Tempo Storm looking to knock some people down right now. It's this turret. There's like 2 attacks. Honestly, I don't even know if it's 1 attack from Gaspy going down. It's probably 2 attacks, and this turret's going to go down. Tempo Storm doing a really good job. Net worth, they're just kind of keeping it a little bit in their advantage. We haven't seen a big fight go their way in a little bit here. Hyde and Gaspy going to split some of the gold in the jungle. Actually, why did Gaspy leave and not take some of that jungle gold there? Why didn't he split that with Hyde?
It could have just been maybe an experience thing, Hyde wanting to get to level 8, not wanting to split any gold. Maybe he's trying to just clear quickly. Not really sure. It could also have been a call that they weren't exactly sure if there was going to be pressure in the lane coming from Xenotech, so not losing and being pushed up against your own turret. But obviously, you know, this is Vainglor8. I mean, it's a game being played with imperfect information if you're on either of these teams, so you do the best with what you got, but I still feel like this gold lead is going to get a lot of pressure over for Tempo Storm.
Hyde with the Drifting Dark, very aggressively positioned. Mac Daddy B stands his crown. Iraqi jumps in with a feint, hits the on point, has to get out of here. Oblivion, it's going to come through. Iron Cannon as well. Look at the big combo from Tempo Storm. Ooh, this is Lost Boy getting blown up as he moved forward in that chase, man. Hyde eating Glimmer Shot after Glimmer Shot after Glimmer Shot. Xenotech, he can't connect on the last one. He stealths out right the last second, turns out with the Glimmer. He's able to take, that was Hyde he took out there at the end. He's going to move forward. He wants Gaspy. Can he take him, Fuji? Hit one more. Yes, he can. Xenotech turns it up.
That's what you needed, Xeno. You needed some kills under your belt, some gold in your pocket. This is going to also grant him some jungle camp as well. Experience, extra gold. Feels good for Gankstars if you're a fan of theirs. That's the team fight you want early game to really turn this back around. And we see now the gold going almost completely even. If they actually secure this gold miner successfully, we will see Gankstars with a bit of a gold advantage, or actually just right at 7.1, 7.2. So all of the hard work, Humanist, all early game, a couple of bad decisions in those team fights in lane, and now we see an even game.
Might as well not have even done anything in the early game, huh?
You remember what you said? If you give the other team the kills and the gold, eventually you just kill them and get it all back, right? It's just
That's my strategy.
Yeah. It works. It's working for Gankstars right now. We actually see Raki feeling pretty confident, but does have to be careful there. Those return double shots coming after jump jets hurt quite a lot.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to, can Xenotech remain elusive? Iraqi's gonna jump in, Gaspy dropping low, Rose offensive forward, Iraqi Zoro gets the heal, can he find the damage? No, he can't. Gaspy able to turn around and take Iraqi Zoro down. What was the call to go in there? Ordain is gonna stun up Mac Daddy B, they catch him with the Malice and Verdict, Hyde able to find that one, and now Xenotech on the run, he's low energy, honestly. Chase this Kestrel down, or maybe not. Maybe they just you take the jungle, apply a little pressure out in the lane.
I'm actually surprised they didn't look to do more damage to the turret just then. I mean, it would have been pretty easy for them just to all circle up. They had a huge wave. Blackfeather could potentially clear it with On Point, but he does have to get pretty close. They get some jungle farm. They don't get the Sentry, though, so I think the trade from Tempo Storm not as efficient as it could have been, but they do still capitalize off of some risky shot calls coming out of Gankstars here. I don't really understand why you would dive the back line. You don't have enough defense on Blackfeather right now to do so, and Xenotech just wasn't there. Didn't have the energy, even if he was running low, so a little bit risky maneuvers coming out of Gankstars. Humanist. See if they can wrap it up.
They find the stun on the Hyde. The Blaster Mare is going to come out here. As well, Mac Daddy be connecting, but they're not able to follow up as Tempo Storm under that turret doing pretty good. Xenotech from the bottom, not able to find enough damage, but they trade it. It's Iraqi who's going down, actually, the big burst damage. They found Xenotech. Dude, I mean, I'm not trying to roast Xenotech here. It's just like, if anybody's playing Crystal Power Kestrel, you got to remain a little more elusive than that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely have to. Your positioning has to be phenomenal, stellar. We talked about this last time. Like, if Gatsby locks onto you with a couple of auto attacks, you don't have any defense. You're just not really going to survive that. We're actually seeing Gatsby just have such a presence in this game compared to the last game when he was on Glaive. It's Baron really coming through strong. Obviously, Hyde and Lost Boy doing a lot of their own work as well to get Gatsby to this point, but we do see 3 offensive items now. We do see 2 offensive coming out of Hyde, and Lost Boy feeling pretty good. Got the contraption, so he's got a little bit of that cooldown. You're going to be sprinkling vision all over the map, which we can see a lot of deep vision here against the CP Kestrel. Scout Trap's kind of your worst nightmare when you are trying to be elusive Humanist, as you mentioned before. So because Gankstars was not able to push the early game with this Kestrel, she's now living in a risky world.
Living in a risky world, living on the edge. Xenotech, we'll see what you can do. And you can have that fancy footwork we talked about. The Kestrel looks like, I mean, going for double shatter, as we've seen. Pretty common for most of these CP Kestrels. And well, I'm actually curious to see like what he goes for the third item. That's where people have a little more variation these days.
I mean, Blackfeather is going to actually be pretty good at getting in and out of, these Ordains and some of these Oblivion lockdowns, but the composition from Gankstars right now it's a bit questionable because they weren't able to push an early game lead. Unless Xenotech's able to get quite a bit of splash damage off early in the team fight, I don't know how they're going to lock down a kill by comparison, but they're going to try.
Ion Cannon, the Drifting Dark, Hyde moving backwards. Lost Boy took a big chunk of damage, but the Fearsome Shade buys him enough time that they can take Mac Daddy B down. He couldn't even use his Echo there in that fight. That was a great job by Tempo Storm. I think actually the greatest job was by Lost Boy Toph. And you saw he calculated so much damage, how much damage he could take. He took a bunch of damage, just stood his ground, made it happen for his team. Now Gatsby and Hyde, what can you guys get done? Drifting Dark, he's going to move forward. Jump Jets leaves Gatsby just out of position as he took a huge chunk of damage. And Gatsby actually almost went down there. Hyde, dude, you're roasted. Gatsby, you should die probably. What are you? Oh, okay, he's gonna get out of here. Dude, that was living on the edge right there.
I mean, it was definitely pushing their luck, like just not a clean 2v2 experience. Even though Iraqi is under-leveled to Hyde, Hyde doesn't have any armor, so Iraqi jumping on top of him with the execute damage is going to take him down. Serpent's Mask and Poison Shiv is going to give him that sustain, and without Drifting Dark up, my friend, you don't have enough to sustain yourself to really duel this Blackfeather down. So there is a bit of a positive window now if you are a Gankstars fan in this game. Even though you are in a deficit on kills and gold and towers, Blackfeather does get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. Iraqi is going to have to do some magical things, but it is possible. They can take down Samuel or take down the Baron quickly. Then they certainly have an opportunity to win this game. Once again, it's just a question of can Kestrel get damage to the same target as Blackfeather is on. And as of right now, Lost Boy doing a great job of blocking that up.
It's kind of a tough situation for Hyde right now as far as how much gold he has and what item he's trying to put out. One shot comes out, the Ion Cannon as well. Both teams zoning. Hyde needs to get that Broken Myth completed, but he's just buying infusions to refresh so they can continue to fight. Fearsome Shade blocked off. They're going to stand their ground. Iraqi jumps back in. He's taking a lot of damage. Lost Boy trying to control this. Dude, they put Mac Daddy B to sleep and just chunk him down. There was nothing he could do to react to that. I guess, you just get caught out there. This is Gangstar standing their ground.
Gankstars.
Actually, what are you doing, guys? What are you doing? They lose Xenotech. Iraqi should go down as well. Gatsby, yeah, the attack range is long enough. Double attacks coming out with the jump jets. And an ace for Tempo Storm. Were they trying to bait them into an active camo that maybe Tempo Storm wouldn't have expected or something? I don't know. What was the play?
I mean, they saw the fountain go out. Xeno did a great job of zoning their potential push. So I was actually thinking, great job, Gankstars. Nice footwork around the wall there, keeping Tempo Storm from being able to take an advantage after killing Mac Daddy B. But the re-engage, that was their choice. It was the wrong one. Painfully obvious right now. Gankstars struggling with shot calls. I don't know who is in charge of these engage calls right now coming from the team, but one would usually think Iraqi is the one setting this up. He's the one trying to get the team to focus in, and if that was his call, then Iraqi, you definitely need to go back to the drawing board there, as he is getting caught a little in lane. But nothing too much to worry about there, Humanists. But yeah, they weren't timing the Drifting Dark, it doesn't seem like either. So once they re-engaged, that was available to Hyde. And they just got ripped to pieces in their own jungle as Mac Daddy was watching sadly from the base.
One shot connects on the Gatsby. A nice little chunk of damage, respectable. But Gatsby's damage output right now is pretty immense, Fuji. And I'm looking across the board. Of course, if Gatsby gets onto Xenotech, that's a dead Kestrel. But Iraqi Zoro, who the guy is going to be, dancing around the backs of the fight, the fancy footwork, continuously, time after time, as Iraqi Zoro, and then Blackfeather. And he's starting to stack up a little bit of armor now.
He is starting to stack that armor, which is definitely going to help out quite a lot. One shot does hits, so we're seeing a lot of the pain coming out of Kestrel that Tempo was dishing out last game. Now it's being returned on them. But of course, if one shot lands and there isn't a follow-up, not too much to be said about it as we look for another team fight.
This is the fight. Rose offensive, Iraqi Zoro. He wants the Baron. Gatsby trying to kite backwards. Rose defensive, you can say now, as this is going to be Lost Boy on the front side. Lost Boy, what can he do? Oh, Gatsby, my goodness, just chunks Mac Daddy B down. It's like Mac Daddy B is, this is totally a shot call thing. As you said, who is making these shot calls and what's going on right here? Tempo Storm, they pull the trigger to move in, trying to find a target. Xenotech, he wants to pop the active camo, but he's getting trolled out. Tempo Storm, use it like a pivot point, rotate around it, take him down. And no, Iraqi Zoro goes down at the end of this. They had opportunities to win this fight, opportunities to leave the fight, and at the end of it, everybody dies. This is Tempo Storm winning the fight, just taking advantage of mistakes, it feels like, and they're gonna get a Kraken as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're also going to get the choke point turret, which means this Kraken push could potentially end the game. Siege potential coming from Samuel and Baron is immense. The Kraken damage and team fight damage is just not that good coming from Gankstars. We're going to see split focus. This team doesn't really do it. Blackfeather is a single target champion, assassin, and Kestrel, all of the damage getting absorbed by the Kraken when she's trying to find her target won't be good. So Gankstars is going to want a team fight early. They cannot win this if they fight in their base once Kraken is pushing at their door. And this is why you see them positioning out now. Somebody needs to pull the trigger though.
It looks like it's Gatsby to pull the trigger. Gatsby coming alive here. Blast Hammer. But it's not going to do what they need. Mac Daddy B on the retreat.
Gatsby?
He's going to get feared out. Fearsome Shade over the wall. How about that? Gatsby just let Xenotech have it. Real rough. And that's not real cool. Tempo Storm. They're looking to send this into game 3. Fuji, you wanted it. Looks like you're going to get it. Then it should be Vein Crystal going down here pretty shortly. Tempo Storm closing this one out at 18 minutes. Much shorter than game 1.
Much shorter than game 1. A lot more definitive shot calling. Gatsby really showing up in this game. Last time it felt like Hyde was the only one pulling his weight. Now that Gatsby stepped into the driver's seat as well. Tempo really just pushing Gankstars to the edge. Dominant victory.
Push them to the edge. It looks like they've lost their heads. Fuji. Gankstars are going to have to completely rethink things coming back into this final game in the series. Exciting stuff, dude. I don't know what we can imagine for the drafts, the compositions in this final game of the series. But for some guys to go ahead and break this game down, maybe predict what we're going to see, we'll go ahead and throw it back to our analyst desk.
It's a very difficult one to predict, but a good win coming through for Tempo Storm there. We're going into a third game, and honestly, these are some pretty messy games between these two teams. We've seen some team fights going very, very chaotic across the board here.
Yeah, chaotic, I think, is the best word to describe what some of these fights end up looking like. Some big mistakes from Gankstars in terms of just sticking around too long in fights that, they have a chance to win, and then when it gets turned around on them, they seem to just still feel like, we were so close to winning that fight. Let's stick around. Maybe we can finish it off. But it's times when that happens, once a team fight turns around on you, you got to cut your losses and just back away. They had chances to do that, but they kept pushing to try and just answer, even though they were in a bad spot now, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah, the early game was definitely rough for Gankstars, and they actually turned it around. Beautiful plays by Xeno, getting 2 kills, and takes a gold lead down to 700 favor Tempo. And then they take gold mine, and the gold lead is even at the 8-minute mark. It's even. And then where it falls down is at the 840 mark, Iraqi dives into a Baron 2v3 in lane, and basically gets killed, and then we still try to fight. Like, Gangstar still tries to fight 2v3, at that point, and then we lose a turret, Gankstars loses a turret, and then it kind of goes down, and that continues to happen. You know, as soon as like if Mac dies or someone else dies, we just need to back off. Like Gankstars just needs to completely back off and not try to fight and force a 2v3 engage and just giving two more kills over and then an ace, etc.
That final replay was so sad as well because he jumps in to try and burst it, and then the Catherine reflects the damage and hits his teammate next to him. It was just, that was painful to watch. But there was a lot of great moments as well. Obviously, I'm going a little bit hard on the players there, but there was definitely some sick mechanical plays throughout the course of the series. These are some of the later game team fights, and obviously you could see Tempo starting this fight off right.
Yeah, able to find that first kill. A lot of times, Mac Daddy B actually ended up getting locked up by some really nice either Ordains or the Oblivions as well from Hyde.
Yeah, right here, I mean, as soon as Mac Daddy died, there was no reason to hang around. Just protect the turret. Don't let him get another turret.
This one especially.
2 kills over. And then this one, Mac Daddy dies again, and the same thing happens. Like, Gankstars should not be trying to engage. It's a 2v3. The sentry's up. Just drop it and just back off and try to get a pick on a trap or something. But other than that, we should not engage at this point. And Gankstars does this multiple times, and it cost him key team fights. So I feel like a lot of these games were just decision making.
Also,
like just bad decision making.
How about that movements there from Tempo Storm? They saw where the active camo was. They no longer have vision on it, and they're still just skirting around the edges of it. Excellent job in terms of the mechanics of positioning in that fight in order to make sure that they didn't get stunned up. And then this final one, jumping over the wall, Gatsby with so much damage on this Baron. This is the second game now where we've seen this Baron late game just absolutely blow targets up.
Yeah, 11-2-1 was his final scoreline at the end of this game. That is a terrifying scoreline to go up against. We've seen Hyde have an incredible game on Kestrel. Now we've seen Gatsby step up onto this Baron. I feel like Tempo look like the favorites to me in this series right now. Obviously, they didn't win the first game when Hyde went off, but I feel like there's quite a few things that you have to stop this team getting at this stage. Like, as we look towards this draft, how do things change coming into this one, Sweet J?
Yeah, I mean, Baron seems like a hot pick now for both teams. I didn't know that Tempo Storm plays Baron. They haven't played Baron in their previous draft history. So Baron is a top priority, I think, for both teams right now.
Okay, so
Baron and Kestrel, I think,
yeah,
are both going to be keys because both sides love to play those two heroes and can play them very well, as we've seen now. But Tempo Storm, I think, like you hit the nail on the head. That seems to be the favorite after the way these first two games went, because even though they did lose game number 1, they still looked incredibly strong doing so.
Yes, I mean, especially Hyde as well. I'm curious to see how heavily prioritized this Kestrel is going to be, but taking Catherine off the board as the first ban, and then going to be locking in Baron.
And now Gankstars, you wonder, do they go for the Lyra? Do they go for the Idris to try and counter it? But we'll see where they decide to go. It's going to be the Lyra so that they can get that healer, that little bit of extra sustain. But once we get to late game, sustain isn't quite as important, because if you, against a Baron, if you just get blown up in an instant, no amount of sustain is going to help you.
Yeah, and I think one of the things as well that Lyra offers is, when you have something that doesn't necessarily have a gap close, doesn't have a hard engage, it gives you that hard engage to jump forward with the portal onto the Baron, but that doesn't always work. It's not necessarily that consistent. Batiste going to be banned away here by Gankstars, and that's going to be answered with an Idris ban coming out from Tempo Storm.
And the Idris ban, smart. Anytime you pick up Baron, you want to ban the Idris away. So now Gankstars, I think they might look for something that can, perhaps deal with a Kestrel, and just in case it does come out. So maybe a Samuel pick could be good for the side of Gankstars here, but we'll see what they decide to go with, because there's plenty of options available to them still. Obviously, you can go for a laner to try and deal with the Baron right now, but they are going to lock in that Samuel.
Yeah, good shout out on the Samuel there. That is going to be the pick here. So a decent amount of sustain on this team as well, coming out from Gankstars so far. But as you rightly said before, Baron is all about burst. Sustain doesn't do much if your health bar goes from 100 to 0 in 1 second. Arden Kestrel immediately locked in.
This is the definition of comfort picks for the side of Tempo Storm. Arden is one of Lost by Top's most well-known heroes. Like, back when he was making plays as a captain, most of them end up being on an Arden. And with obviously Hyde going to be getting this Kestrel in his hands again, this is looking pretty scary for Gankstars.
All right, definitely feels like a very strong composition. Obviously, as you rightly say, Hyde going to be on the Kestrel. We have Gatsby on the Baron. We've just seen in the last 2 games those 2 players go off on those 2 heroes. And now Vox going to round out the composition for Gankstars. So, I mean, the Gankstars composition, it's not like it's a bad composition, right? This is very standard, very meta composition, very strong individual picks, but not the same level of comfort picks that we're seeing at a Tempo Storm here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Baron and Kestrel pretty strong together, but very weak early game. Lyra, Samuel, very meta kind of EA composition that can put a lot of pressure in jungle and in lane. So as long as Gankstars put that early pressure and doesn't let Baron get online and don't let Kestrel do some crazy tricks with the traps, they should be fine.
All right, so it's all about Gankstars being aggressive in that early game. I feel like this is a conversation we have a lot. It's like, pick a team. This one has to be very aggressive early, and the other one, it's like, can you survive for 15 minutes? If you can, good job, you won the game.
Yeah, I don't know if Tempo Storm really has to even survive through the early game, because with a Crystal Kestrel, you know, obviously, yes, Samuel is very strong once he hits that level 2. That big power spike can rotate up to the lane. But Kestrel can rotate up too and has so much early damage with those Glimmer shots. And just a couple of Glimmer shots connecting is going to cancel out any sort of aggression.
All right, well, it's time to jump on into the 3rd game of this quarterfinal. Let's find out whether Gankstars or Tempo Storm are going to be moving on to tomorrow's games. Let us know who you want to move on using that hashtag Vainglor8 on Twitter. But without further ado, let's get on into this game and find out who will be moving forward tomorrow as we head onto the Halcyon Fold.
Ladies and gentlemen, game 3 between Tempo Storm and Gankstars. This should be a pretty good one, Fuji. We're here with a very fun draft once again. Comfort pick for Hyde on this Kestrel. And you mentioned that Gatsby was doing so well on this Baron. He really showed up in game 2 where he felt kind of silent in game 1. I think this is a great pick for him.
Yeah, I mean, why not put him back on the hero he just performed exponentially well with? I like the idea. Tempo holding close to their roots. Hyde on his Kestrel again. And Lost Boy on his play-making Arden from many moons ago that we first recognized his skill sets back in the Autumn Championship of 2015. Let's see if he still has it. I bet he does. I think he does. We'll have to see early in the game. Still a lot of things to be figured out here. Let's talk a little bit about the compositions, though, Humanist. Vox into Baron, right? So there are periods throughout the game where Vox can do some pretty decent work to Baron, and I love Lyra into Baron, right? You get the portal, you get the bulwark down, Baron can't jump out. If Vox gets the right angle, the right dive, he potentially can do quite a bit of work. And then we've got the Samuel to balance out the pressure from Kestrel. So I think this is going to be a lot about execution more than just which comp comes over the top.
This is really going to be about execution. Gankstars in the past, when they were playing with Vains in the last few weeks, Mouse and Verts coming out, little jump jets defensively from Gatsby. But Gankstars, they have made very clean between Iraqi and Xenotech. We know that they can follow arcane passages very quickly. Like we've seen them execute on that where they just portal in and then boom, they're right into the portal and they're onto a target. So those two can do it. We'll see if they have the synergy here with Mac Daddy B in this game.
Hyde would have been scouted by the Tribush scout. We'll have to see if Xeno is paying attention. He was not.
No. Xenotech getting actually lit up pretty good. Hyde has to wait for his Glimmer Shot. Xenotech in the Drifting Dark. This is a big skill shot game going down. Xenotech's gonna win it. First blood. I guess he's just more skilled than Hyde.
Oh, that's not what you wanted. Successful steal onto the Treant, but then you move into melee range. You're fighting on top of the Drifting Dark, and for those of you that don't know, the more minions, the more heroes inside the Drifting Dark, while Samuel is also inside of it, the more regen he gets. So ideally, you want to step out of there as quick as possible. He did not. Pays the price. Lost Boy, you're going to try to steal?
Lost Boy, come on! I heard you were a legend. And that's not an Elder Treant steal. Xenotech, moving with Mac Daddy B, eat a couple Glimmer shots, and they're going to go ahead and back up. That flare will let them know there's a scout trap down. And Lost Boy with his contracts, probably just going to move up into the lane, help Gatsby out here just a little bit. Although Gatsby really hasn't been taking too much damage.
I cannot emphasize how important it was that Xenotech won that trade against Hyde. He does not have his drifting here, though, Humanist. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Hyde, you're in a bad place, my friend. Hyde. My goodness.
The skill shots, you can't miss. If you're going to invade, you have to land everything
Double kill.
Lost Boy get wrecked! Xenotech comes down from the south side and just smokes Lost Boy, who was, I think it was porting back. It's like Lost Boy had just like put his iPad down to take a drink from his Coke or something and just got roasted.
He did. He got picked up, and the actual advantage of circling through and ganking lane from the enemy tri-bush is huge. Like, it's hard to expect it. It's hard to defend against it. Hyde potentially getting caught again here. He's going to take the safe route back, though. It looks like as we're closing in almost on the 4-minute mark. Shop still not quite available. The team's Hyde putting a little pressure on here, Humanist. I like the fact that he's not backing down, even though he has made a few poor choices in the early game. Damage, though. Whew.
Get it! Hyde, no!
One more.
He's waiting for it. He gets to the Vanguard. He moves forward. Mac Daddy B will go down. And Iraqi Zoro wants to get inside that Sigil goodness, but it's a little too dangerous of a situation. I love Hyde's aggression there, and that's, in my opinion, Gankstars getting punished for their inability to pull the trigger. Like when Iraqi and Mac Daddy B dropped down and they saw him next to that mid on Tempo Storm side, they could have just ran at him and killed him. Like they were on target.
They really were. Then we have to question also the fact of like the communication coming from the team. Whenever these rotations are happening, hopefully like the person who's making the mistake, like Hyde goes in and gets killed, he should be telling his team like, careful, careful, careful. Samuel could rotate up from our side. He's going to look for the steal in the jungle. If the jungle's not available, he's going to look for a kill in the lane. So hopefully these guys pick up the communication a little bit there. It looks like just a little bit of E-synergy, if that's the thing. Lack thereof. But critical hold by Xenotech. You know, we talked earlier in this series, Humanist, about can he be the clutch player Gankstars needs? And he, struggled a bit in game 2, but bringing it back here in game 3 on this Samuel, doing so much work, defending his own jungle, keeping Hyde from scaling out of control. This is the Xenotech we wanted to see. This is the Xenotech we're getting.
I mean, most of these players can play almost every hero at a pretty high level. But those nuances, just knowing exactly how far you can push the limits, really come down to being on a comfort pick. And I think maybe that's what we're seeing a little bit there. It's going to be a bit of damage coming out from Gaspy, but he pulls back to get these last hits onto the lane minions. Gankstars kite back the Drifting Dark. Realize that they have a bit of an advantage, but the fight's not quite going their way. They hang around here as Glimmer Shots just come out from Hyde. One shot. And as Iraqi Zoro and Xenotech split apart there, going to avoid that one shot connecting. And the point, Gankstars aren't doing too much, but it does kind of force Hyde to hang around here. Drifting Dark, the Malice Inverted coming out. Mac Daddy B throws out the Sigil, but neither of his teammates can get inside of it. And Iraqi Zoro really wanted to get that heal up there so he could hang out in the lane. It does leave him a little bit vulnerable here.
I mean, teams at this point kind of just sparring a little bit back and forth. Obviously, Gankstars having the better overall sustain. They're going to be able to last a little longer, play a little more forward as if they balance the damage, but Hyde.
Hyde? Dude, Hyde, how did he actually just get out of that one, dude? They should have killed him. Lost Boy. He'll throw out the fountain and a Vanguard onto Gaspy. Tempo able to get out of that one. They're going to be on the back foot here, and Xenotech just slaps Lost Boy into the dirt with a mouse inverted. Xenotech, raise up, flex your manly muscles right there, my friend. Oh my goodness, that double kill. That was impressive.
Very impressive stuff. It's going to net them potentially turret here. Gaspy does get a kill, though. Nice. Gaspy holding strong, not feeling like
go, Gaspy, go! Go, Gaspy, go!
He doesn't have boots. He doesn't have jump jets available. Could have been another kill, but he does save the turret. That's what's important, making sure your first major objective doesn't go down. Once the first turret drops, Humanist, the map opens up. Goldmine becomes the next most important objective. You can get sneaky pathing down to kill that sentry, so the longer you hold your first turret, the better chances you have of winning the game by far. So I like to see Gaspy's confidence not falter even after Xenotech makes the sexy double kill play.
That was so clean.
Clean play. Really, really nice angles on these Drifting Darks, Malice and Verdicts. I like it.
But that was all Xenotech. The 2 kills that he got, I mean, okay, granted his team put out damage on him, but the fight was over for all intents and purposes. That's one of those fights where, like, if you're the laner, all of a sudden, like, your jungler gets a kill and you're like, oh, dude, good job. He gets the double kill and you're like, things are going pretty well. Like, I didn't have anything to do with that.
No, I mean, it's just, thanks guys, can you just clear the wave so I can go pick up a few kills? But we're seeing this pressure, the sustained potential coming out of Gankstars' composition. It's very hard for Tempo Storm to really nail down a kill here.
Gauntlet
comes
from
out.
Lost Boy jump jets forward. The Oblivion comes out right on top, blocked off by Lost Boy. Good job, Xenotech. He's gonna get healed up, moves back, then right back into Raki Zoro, failing to find a target to get on top of here. And Mac Daddy B just sitting on the back line, holding his fountain. They're continuing to throw out these sigils, heal up. It seems Lost Boy taking a lot of damage. Lost Boy's down. He throws out the fountain at the last second. Now this turret probably goes down. I assume Hyde. What are you trying to body block for a turret, Hyde? Shaking my head here. This is not what I wanted to see.
I feel like we've been here before. Gaspy at the turret, his teammates dead. I mean, just like Tempo Storm, you've got to be careful about how long you're trying to hold this fountain. Like, this is now going to give Gankstars your first turret. This is not what you want. We just applauded at the fact that they were able to control the collateral damage from the last team fight. But Gankstars, once again, they come around. They successfully execute another scrappy skirmish. They're rewarded with the first major objective on the map. 20,000 gold in the bank for this team. Gankstars looking pretty confident, pretty strong, even though we see Hyde on this CP Kestrel. What he's well known for, he is 0-4-1. This is not the start you want for Tempo if you're trying to secure your spot in day 2 this weekend.
Hyde feels a little sloppy this game. I don't know what the cause of that is. We'll see how it's going to play out. Nice flares coming out to reveal Hyde rotating up from the jungle. Mac Daddy B doing his job incredibly well thus far. Gankstars, they're in a good position if they want to close this series out. I think both of these teams would really like to gain some points and move forward into day 2 here in week 2 of Split 2. So many twos. Xenotech with that one shot, but the sigil heals him right back up.
I have to think that if the last engage in which Lost Boy dropped the gauntlet, if Gaspy and Hyde were able to focus on the same target, which would have been Samuel near the top, they probably could have turned it around. So the next engage coming from this gauntlet, we'll have to see if they've learned their lesson. Ion Cannon coming down.
This feels like it's gonna get pretty crazy. There's your arcade passage in with a brave bulwark. Mac Daddy B gets smoked, but they lose Hyde. Gaspy dropping low. Gaspy tries to reposition, but he goes down. Gankstars made the play that we were talking about earlier of how, I mean, you break it down first. I could probably explain it, but I'm sure you could do it more eloquently.
Well, I mean, this is why you pick Lyra into Baron, right? If you portal in, you drop the bulwark down, Baron cannot escape from any damage while that bulwark is up. It doesn't even matter if you're level 8. It stops you from being able to jump while you're inside of it. It blocks your jump if you jump in. There's so many things that happen with this bulwark that makes Baron easy to lock down. But what can still happen, though, is Hyde still needs to be better positioned. He cannot be collateral damage inside of the Drifting Dark, Malice, and Verdict. The punch coming from Xenotech's damage, because he is so far ahead right now, is just too much for Tempo to handle. They need to be careful. They need to toss the Ion Cannon, right? Like, throw one shot, one kill. Try to steal the gold mine, but don't like, they're disrespecting the engage, right? Like, the ability for Portal to come out is just always a lingering threat, and I don't think Tempo Storm was respecting it enough.
We demand more respect. Oblivion's gonna come out. I think that was the Crucible from Lost Boy.
Oh,
interesting positioning here. Hyde, dude. If the pulse, if the attacks bounce from Iraqi onto Hyde there, he just gets smoked. Like, he is playing with fire. There's scout traps coming down, flares coming up. Mac Daddy B is really trying to lock Hyde down. He finds, like, literally the only place he could have gone without being seen. He's gonna dip out towards the east side here. Maybe, I don't know, is he looking for the backs, but they're not even up.
They are not up. And Crystal Sentry is going to go over to Gankstars, and Gankstars is going to get a full back clear. So not the best trade. Hyde's still hanging out over here waiting, hoping that these jungle minions might respawn.
Hyde's getting trolled out so hard by this spawn. He's like, yo, is this the game bugged right now? Is it broken? No, there you go. There's your spawn. And he'll be able to clean those up and probably get out pretty quickly.
Does finally get it. Not going to take the back tree, assuming most likely somebody from Gankstars might be back there looking for him. But once again, imperfect information means he could have gotten it, did not get it. So a little bit of a return win. GS getting the full clear, and Tempo Storm not
Arcane
Engage.
Passage and a very aggressive call. Raki Zoro is getting lit up though. They're able to kite back. Gatsby's still alive. This is exactly what Tempo Storm need. Can they turn it around? Gatsby jump jets onto Xeno. Xeno with the Oblivion down, but this is Lost Boy. He's frontlining. He's absorbing the Malice and Verdict. How did that actually connect? Hyde able to get the kill. Gankstars are melting apart. Gatsby should be able to find this. Oh, Daddy B! Who is this master? Call the Meek back in Vainglory. Oh my goodness. Lost Boy Toph just runs in fear. Mac Daddy B, you should have thrown a charm at him at least. That was delicious.
Oh my goodness. The plays into the bush, even though Gatsby had the jump jet up, the ability to kill him, he lost vision, so he has to walk in melee range, has to take the damage from the Imperial Sigil coming from Mac Daddy B. The plays, my friends, Mac showing up. Ready?
Mac Daddy G.
Know. Mac Daddy B is such an OG Vainglory player. He's been around since the earliest days in the North American launch, and it's so great to see him really showing up here on the battlefield up against Tempo Storm, really carrying his team right now into these engages. The shot call is a little bit better coming out of Gankstars this game. I like what I'm seeing.
I like it a lot too. That's interesting to see this playing out here. Gold miner. Stolen off! I saw right at the end, I was like, yo, he's got an opening. Of course, Hyde throws the one shot and takes it away. So Hyde making the plays that he needs to make because they are on the back foot. He has double shattered glass and building into his next item now.
That was a critical steal for Tempo Storm, like taking the gold miner away. Like when you have the lead and you are not securing neutral objectives, this is not good. Gankstars need to clean it up a little bit here as they do look to put some siege on this turret. Another wave crashing in. We'll have to see if they stay or leave Humanists, but with this sustained, Gankstars still feeling really confident.
Gankstars, should you stay or should you go? One shot hits Xenotech. Very nice chunk of damage right there.
Ion Cannon's
gonna come down here. What's the play here, Tempo Storm? I thought for maybe for a second we were gonna see just like a full-on engage and as they chase them down, but nice heals coming out of Mac Daddy B once again, keeps his team ready to go. Mac Daddy B does have no wave gauntlet. It's actually, looking at his items, it's mildly satisfying just to see those 3 items completed, nothing else just hanging around.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I mean obviously the amount of potential damage too coming out of Tempo Storm here. These guys aren't shying off, even though that it's been a little bit of a rougher game for them. They don't have their first turret standing, but they're still going for maximum damage potential. They want to kill a target and kill it quick, and I agree this needs to happen, but at the same time, similar issues that were experienced in last game is just, can we get the damage to the target we need it on? One shot, one kill, just going to be healed right back up from Sigil, but wow, the damage.
Oh man, I gotta be honest, Fuji, that felt like a go signal to me. Like, Xenotech just got lit up. Okay, of course it's healed right back up. I want to keep our eyes on this fountain ready for both teams. Mac Daddy B has the null wave. He's gonna portal in. Where's his team though? Lost Boy throws the gauntlet, splits them. Gatsby, he's able to hang out on the backside here. Xenotech, he's forced out of his drifting dark. Mac Daddy B taking a lot of damage. Tempo
one shot.
Moving forward. Raki Zoro is going to get connected with that Ion Cannon. Gatsby is going to try and hit them from across the country. Xenotech almost going down. You can see now the range coming out as you start to put a couple points into that ultimate for Baron, and it just gets so much harder to avoid the damage that can come out.
I mean, he's not even level 12 yet, Humanist. There's more range to be had, and I mean, something to be said in Vainglory or any game for that matter. If you can get more range, like, what a beautiful thing. It puts you in a safer position. Your jump jets can be angled much further away. You don't have to worry about getting so close. And once again, like, Xenotech, no armor. So if you get on top of this Samuel, you get a glimmer shot with one jump jet combo, one shot, one kill coming through. They could lose Xenotech instantly before they even have a chance to do anything to save his life.
Yeah.
This Kraken push, it's going to be pretty meaningful.
Another arcane passage in there. Mac Daddy B trying to make it happen. Hyde dropping low, gets the Vanguard in the fountain, stays alive for a second, but will go down to Raki, dropping low. Gatsby trying to stay his ground. The Oblivion will put him to sleep for a full respawn, and now it's just Xenotech and Lost Boytov plus Kraken marching down the lane. Xenotech knows that he needs to try and find his kill. He should be able to do so. Drifting Dark Malice. Verdict doesn't connect. Gauntlet stuns him up. Lost Boy, he's done it. Lost Boy, elusive, making the plays.
Everyone will say today that Lost Boy made the plays for the escape, but He did have Crucible available for the team fights. He could have used it for one of his teammates. Had to save it for himself to stay alive. Gauntlet not up, so you got to question why Tempo Storm was so far forward. So, Xenotech. I love Kestrel being back, kind of in this CP role in the meta again after having a bit of time of absence, just simply because the one shot, the continual spam of this ability going out is just so entertaining to see. It's just everyone's always kind of on a knife's edge. Like if you get hit by it, that could mean go, right? If you get hit by it, you don't get killed, sigil drops. Now the sigil's on cooldown, that could also mean go. Like you never know when Tempo's really going to pull the trigger, and Kestrel really setting them up for a lot of this success.
Yeah, doing a great job thus far. I mean, it also means that technically you can fight 2 versus 3 if one of those connects and you're ready to just jump jet and take someone out. A lot of vision coming out for Mac Daddy B here. He's got contraption plus, in one slot he's got scout traps plus flares in the other. He's just going to make sure they are not caught by surprise. You mentioned this earlier, so important. You're playing against the CP Kestrel that you cannot be caught by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that because the contraption's online and the vision's getting set down closer to their base, closer to the lane, we're seeing them not being able to have any sneaky like setups from behind from Hyde, which Hyde typically is not normally the Rambo style Kestrel player who likes to go behind and set up traps for a pick, but he'll certainly do it if he can. He's gonna have a hard time though. Like Gankstars forcing them to engage.
Another engage right onto the Baron. Can he get back? Gaspy over the wall. Araki getting blown up the fountain keeps him alive. Araki's still alive. He's sustaining, and Xenotech dropped around the bottom side and found the kill onto Gaspy. What a play by Gankstars. This is Lost Boy trying to stay alive but can't handle the damage. And Crystal Sentry, for some reason, want Xenotech instead of the other guys. Oh man, Hyde last man standing for Tempo Storm. What a great fight for Gankstars.
Gaspy had such an amazing jump jet over the middle wall there, but even more amazing on that reposition was Xenotech seeing the jump jet happen on Samuel, wrapping around with his drifting dark on the other side of the wall to push Baron out. Very, very well played by Xenotech there. A heads up play, in fact, to make sure his drifting was available for that angle of attack. He could have lost it early, could have used it at the wrong time. So impressive work coming out of Gankstars, really stepping it up here in game 3. Humanist not wanting to go down. Oh, hi.
They found him. Arcane Passage back. Nobody else wants to take it. One shot looking to find a target. And honestly, he could have jump jetted forward and maybe looked to follow up on that. Hyde, it seemed like Hyde may be a little sloppy in what just happened, but ultimately a very positive outcome for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, I mean, they stopped the Kraken. I actually feel like Gankstars could have just zoned Hyde out with Lyra and finished the Kraken there, but the all-in engage to try to kill him drops Kraken. Kraken resets, and now the map has to reset. So after that successful team fight, Gankstars doesn't get anything out of it. So a little bit sloppy play on their part. Once again, decision-making being somewhat called into question. We see the mechanics, right? We see the rotation, the skills coming out of Araki, Zoro, and Xenotech. Mac Daddy really showing up here. But once you get the ace, once you get the kills, once you get anything, you have to figure out where to go next. And if you don't pull the trigger quick enough, you're just going to be stuck once again in a little bit of a stalemate.
Let's see if this is going to stall out here, or if it's going to be an exciting team fight. Lost Boy trying to clear vision. Could potentially be caught out. One shot does not connect. Hyde just throws it. This is the back-to-back. He's not connecting on these one-shots, and it feels like kind of the awkward angle that Gankstars are forcing out, where he's having a hard time predicting exactly how and where they're going to move.
Yeah, it is very true. I mean, we have a lot of engaged tools from both teams. I'm curious to see Gauntlet have a little more effective use in the next team fight, though, because I feel like in a slightly underwhelming ability, but we might be seeing it go down right now, Humanist.
Yo, Gankstars have this fight. Ion Cannon comes down. Can Gaspy stand his ground and actually trade the damage out? Yes, he can. Lost Boy, he is the front line that his team deserves. Lost Boy making it happen. He just drops Gauntlet. He's like, if you really want to fight on the Crystal Sentry, that's fine with me. Hyde's going to chase down Xenotech, and this should hurt pretty bad if you are a ghoul in the graveyard. I mean, I guess some sort of 0.5% chance that Xenotech turns that around, but... Tempo Storm was the ace when they need it. Pretty clean fight.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a ghoul in the graveyard, I guess now you truly are in the graveyard. But it is sad days for Xenotech fans as he does try his best in that team fight. But Humanist, I pleaded, Lost Boy, show me a gauntlet to change the course of the team fight. That was the gauntlet they needed, getting multiple stuns on either side, allowing a Gatsby to reposition with jump jets to the southern portion of the gauntlet. That way he didn't have to worry about getting jumped on again. They were not able to move around it. But perhaps the biggest question is, Gankstars, why force the team fight in a choke point around the Sentry when Samuel's damage cannot get cleanly to the target that you want it to? So wherever a team is making a slight error in judgment, the other team is taking advantage of it, and this is what you expect at this level of play. Another Kraken push, Humanists. Let's see what they can do with it.
Let's see what they can do indeed. Another one-shot flies out of Hyde. About every 25 seconds, the one-shot, one kill is going to be coming out. Ion Cannon as well. And just as much harass potential without putting himself in danger. But you say without putting himself in danger. Arcing passage back the other way. Gatsby, that's not a very defensive jump jets. Gauntlet's down. Is that enough? Iraqi Zoro reflex moves right through. He's able to take down Gatsby. And now Hyde has to kite backwards. And Lost Boy Top doesn't want to move within range of Hyde. I mean, there's so much vision coming out of Mac Daddy B that it's actually very hard for Hyde to kite back and get a good active camo down.
Tempo Storm, you've got to expect this Lyra engage. I mean, this is their engage. This is what they do. They're going to portal. They're going to drop the bulwark. They're going to chase you down. Perhaps even worse is because Arden was inside of the bulwark, he was not able to use Gauntlet early. So there was not the same type of playmaking capability. Bit of a messy Kraken push, though. I definitely think Tempo could have done much more with that, but just seemingly just unprepared for that engage, and I don't know why. Like,
I mean, there was a trend. You go back to Split 1, there was a large trend. I mean, I think that, no, you go back to the spring season. This happened for many weeks in a row, and Sweet J was talking about it on the analyst desk, like, every time it happened. Like, it was Lyra's engaging into Kestrels with Arcane Passage and just getting destroyed because active camos would be down. And they just get blown up. But that is not happening this game at all. Like, I don't know if it's Mac Daddy B making sure that he controls with vision that he's going to Arcane Passage to a place where they're not in active camo, or Hyde maybe not predicting the engage coming out. But that trend is not being highlighted here.
It's true. There's also something to consider, that because this is a CP Kestrel, unless she preemptively has the trap down, when they look for the engage, unlike a weapon Kestrel who can quickly drop the camo, fire a couple of glimmer shots, get the reset for future camos, you get a kind of one shot at this, right? So CP Kestrel doesn't have the same type of flexibility for her ability to escape.
But I can predict right now, Gankstars are going to look to portal in on top of Gatsby. That's what they've done every time. It feels like it could be predicted at this point. And even though you do mention it's one shot, I agree with you. It's not quite the same deal.
Yeah, I mean, this room for error, right? There's, human error in those extensions. If they get the prediction right, they will profit huge. But right now, like you're saying, we're not seeing the prediction quite come through. I feel like now that Hyde has a battery and Halcyon chargers, he should have enough energy to set up enough traps around Baron's positioning so that they can keep these engages from being too detrimental for them. It's a little risky earlier game, once again, because you just don't quite have the energy, but now they certainly do, and they have to expect it. With Kraken getting hit on, we know Gankstars is going to look for a turnaround. They're not going to 50-50 this Kraken.
Gankstars flirting with Kraken. They drop the flirt and move over to Tempo Storm. Hyde moving backwards. Iraqi Zoro wants him though. Hyde, can he turn around? He's going to go down. Iraqi Zoro finds the damage. It's Hyde traded for Xenotech. Gatsby, he jump jet, stands his ground. Iraqi Zoro tries to move back in with the Sonic Zoom. They take Mac Daddy B down in a triple kill for Gatsby. Sir Greatness. Gatsby, we bow down to you in your greatness and your play of Baron here on this humble day. 14-18 Tempo Storm, making it happen, Captain.
We saw it. The trap was down when the engage came through. Successful stun up on Vox on the carry. Not enough damage coming through quickly. Able to maneuver around. Kestrel might have been the target, but Gatsby comes in clutch, cleans up the entire team fight, and takes the victory.
That did not feel like a 27-minute game to me. It felt a lot shorter.
It did, but it wasn't. A long road to victory for
wasn't.
both of these teams. Honestly, each game just tooth and nail.
Man, it's a really good matchup. Of course, Gankstars coming out on Tempest Storm in the majority of their games, but Mac Daddy B was a little bit of a wild card, but didn't know how things were going to play out. It didn't go their way. Tempest Storm, really good stuff. I'm impressed. Let's see what our analysts have to say as we throw it back over to our desk.
Today has been a day of ridiculously close games and series. Another nigh on 30-minute game coming out. Tempo Storm are going to take the series, though, 2-1 in the end. And once again, an incredibly back and forth game. We've said this about 7 times today because every series is just so damn close.
It's almost as if these teams have realized that we're getting really close to the live championship and we need these points. And everyone has stepped up their game in a big, big way. And this game was absolutely nuts. I'm surprised Suijay is even still breathing right now. I thought he was going to have a heart attack during that game.
I mean, some of those late game team fights were pretty heart-pumping. I mean, I would talk about the early game, but honestly, the early game was fairly inconsequential once we got later on into things because these late game fights were so back and forth in themselves.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Gankstars did a good job. They won the early game. They won the mid game. They were up ahead on kills. Xeno was just carrying like a boss, getting like 5 kills in the early game. So they're doing really well. And then it's when they stop playing to the win condition and they're forcing fights. Like they're basically forced their own errors. Lyra is a poke. They have Xeno who pokes a lot. And sometimes they should poke and play to that win condition and then engage when they feel like it's ready. And sometimes the portal engages weren't coordinated at the right time, like that one right there. Like the team wasn't ready 100% to jump on that Kestrel and delete her. And when they're portaling in, they're all on top of each other. Like you don't want to get hit by the mortars, Baron splash damage, and Kestrel's AoE damage. There's so much AoE, you have to avoid that win condition of Tempo Storm. So like when the team was split, when Tempo Storm splits up, that's when they win. Like for now, Baron is split up. That's when Gankstars wins these fights, and that's what Gankstars needed to do. And there was another key fight at the Crystal Century where Xeno was poking down Arden and the whole team so low. And we decide to engage. Like Gankstars should not engage here. They should just poke. Like the gauntlet comes down, the Baron hits Iraqi. Like we hit all the AoE damage, everything just gets hit. Iraqi just blows up. That's exactly their win condition. They want to kite. We have Lyra. We can poke. We can heal. We can take Kraken. Because look how low they are already. So I feel like Gankstars force their own errors, and that's something that it's a learning process. It's going to take time, but really, really awesome games in general. Both teams did really, really well.
I will say Gankstars did a phenomenal job of shutting down Hyde on this Kestrel as well. He had a good amount of assists. Like his damage was not something that was inconsequential, but 1 and 8 was his final KD. Obviously had a large number of assists there because Lost Boy Toph, he made some plays on this Arden. He was sitting with those 4 kills at this stage of the game, but it was really just all about Hyde being able to get some good damage out, and then Gaspy finding these jump jets in great positions to just narrowly avoid going down, like just barely avoids the Oblivion there. If he gets caught in that Oblivion, that's a team fight win for Gankstars and perhaps even the game. Like it's so close. It was down to the wire. Absolutely.
Yeah, Gaspy played amazingly this series, especially